Okay, this is a HD-28 that I had in an earlier video when I was talking about, we did an evaluation on it. And so here it is. It's getting ready to get the bridge put back on. And several things have happened here that I didn't video because I was working on it. It's got a new bridge plate, and the old bridge plate is right here. Here's the old bridge plate. Came out pretty nicely in two pieces. It was pretty easy because it actually was cracked in between the pins already, so it came out really nicely. You can see the burn marks, the scorch marks. Take heat to pull these things out. I like to use a lot of heat quickly. I don't like to use a little bit of heat for a long time. I've just had more trouble that way. I like to hit the thing hard, get it out of there. Came out pretty clean. Got just a few little pieces of small spruce here. There's nothing to worry about. But it came out nice and clean. Made a new bridge plate, and it's maple. In keeping with the maple on this guitar, it goes back a little bit farther back here because, of course, the bridge is going to get scooted backwards. So the bridge plate is sitting in a slightly different location. It's also just a little bit bigger than the original because, like I said, HD-28s tend to have belly problems. And so I gave it just about 1/8 of an inch bigger bridge plate. No big deal. And, you can't just copy that and stick that back in there because the pinholes will be in the wrong place. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if here's your original bridge plate, and you're going to take the bridge and you're going to scoot it back. Here's where the holes line up. And you're going to scoot it back a good 1/4 of an inch. You're going to come off of the plate back here. And that kind of negates the part of the reason for having a bridge plate. So I can't just copy that one and stick it in there. The reason I had to take it out was to scoot the plate backwards. It's just a matter of fitting it, checking it with mirrors, lights, and all that kind of thing. I plugged the holes in the top with dowels. This doesn't really do anything for strength because, the dowels just don't add much strength. But what it does is gives you a little bit better glue surface. You don't have a hole right there, so you get a good glue surface right there. Yeah, just looks better, works better. I got a fill in right here where I filled in the finish scar. And this one came out a little bit dark, a little darker than I would have liked. I took it down, I sanded it down some more. I did it a couple times until I got it to this point. And it looks alright, It's going to be hidden underneath the strings and everything. It's going to look like this, more or less. So it's not really going to be all that obvious when it's all put together. Now this is the bridge, and the original bridge, I talked about this before in the other video, was much thicker. And because I'm scooting the bridge backwards, I take the back off of this bridge to make it more like a 50s bridge. Here's a 50s bridge, and here's the reshaped HD-28 bridge, and it's the same size, you see. So it's a thinner bridge now than it used to be. That lets me not take any finish away, or not take much finish away anyways. The owner also wanted to go with a 2 1/4 inch spacing instead of the stock 2 1/8 of an inch spacing. So while I had the bridge off, I plugged the holes with old ebony bridge pins. I have some seconds that were made from a guy that was making bridge pins, and he had a bunch that didn't work out. So I've got a pretty good stack of non-polished, non-shiny, rough ebony bridge pins, and I glue them in there, and then mark and re-drill the holes. And it's kind of tricky, because your drill bit wants to wander around, and it's hard to get the holes right. But I think I got it. I think I got them. Yeah. I'll find out when I get it on, I guess. One trick that you can use is if your hole is just a little crooked when you drill it, and yeah, I've got a drill press and everything, but I tell you what, ebony is hard stuff, and the drill bit wants to wander a little bit. But as you're reaming the holes, I always start with the holes as small as I can get, really, about as big as the tip of this reamer right here. And then I use the reamer to kind of move back and forth a little bit as I'm reaming it. So if one hole is back a little bit for some reason, I can, as I'm reaming it, kind of tilt it forward. and I put bridge pins in here, and I'll work with them until I get them all lined up. If it looks good, it is good. You know, that's the rule on bridge pins. So he's going to a 2 1/4 inch spacing. I re-drilled all that, reshaped the top, reshaped the back of the bridge to make it look more pre-warish. It had a stink bug attitude, real fat in the back right here, whoop like that. So it's nice and flat right now. Looks much more like a 50s, an earlier model Martin bridge. Also round the edges off here. Modern Martin bridges have a square edge. The old ones have a round hand buffed edge. Well, I do that. Try to make the back of it look better. You know, that's my model, the 50s. So there's the bridge. So here's what it's going to be like putting it on. The first thing I'm going to do, figure out where it's going to go, and I've got the old footprint to kind of guide me left to right. I'm going to do an F reset on this guitar, so I have one last opportunity to get the strings lined up and everything, but I'm going to get it pretty good here. So the first thing I'm going to do, drop the bridge down there where I think it's supposed to go. Then I'm going to get my stick, and I'm going to measure 11 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the body to the edge of the bridge. Stick my finger down there, and I'm going to check it. And it needs to go back just a little bit right there. If you recall, I told you this bridge was on crooked from stock, so we're going to take care of that right now. So 11 1/8 and 11 1/8, and it still needs to go back a little bit on the bass side, but I need some help here. I'm going to put this clamp on, and this is just to give me a little tension. So that when I hit it with my hand, it's not going to go bouncing way out of position. It's going to stay pretty good right here. Give it a little bit of tension. I'm going to measure it again. I'm going to go ahead and go to the middle of the 12th fret. And yeah, this needs to go back a little bit right here. There it is. 11 1/8. Perfectly in my mark. You know, my mark on my yardstick right here. From the 12th fret goes to right there. And this one is right there. Pretty good. Wouldn't hurt for this whole bridge to go back just a smidgen more. Right there, looks good, and this one looks good. Okay, now we'll get some strings. Thought I had some strings up. Bulk Martin mediums, phosphor bronze strings. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to check the alignment of the bridge. Because remember, I re-drilled the holes. And you can't assume anything. You can't assume that the original holes are in the right place. They look pretty good. You know, I didn't see anything odd as I was going along. So I'm going to stick the string into the tune. This is the low E. And I'm just going to bend it a little bit to keep it captive. Slide it into the nut slot right there. And I'm going to bring it right down the middle of the pinhole here. And I'm just going to look at that alignment coming down the neck. And that looks pretty good. I like that. I'll take a high E string, do the same thing. And there's a high E. There's a B, high E. Take that out. And just kind of bend the string over to make it stay. Hold it right there. Bring it right through the middle of the hole. And I like the alignment. Again, I can fudge it just a little bit when I go to slot the bridge. If I need to scoot it just a hair, I can do that. And you know, like I said before, I'm gonna do an equi shot, so I can angle the neck just a little bit as I do this. But this looks really good. I don't think I'm gonna have to do any kind of fudging. Looks decent. I can wrap the string around here a little bit, get it to hold, and I can pull both strings at the same time. Like that, and like that. Come back here and I can pull both strings down the fingerboard, and I can check the alignment of the fingerboard. And it would not hurt this bridge to scoot just a hair. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt this bridge to move just a hair towards the bass side. So, I'm going to get my stick over here again. I'm going to tap it again. Shift it a little bit the wrong way. This takes a lot of patience to get it right. Yeah, I'm going to loosen the clamp just a little bit. There it is. It slipped over. Got to check all this again. 11 1/8 looks good. 11 1/8, that's good. I'll do that now. Line it up in the nut slots. Bring the strings down here. I like that. Right there. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. Most people, it's nice if you can get the strings perfectly even down the fingerboard, but if you need to fudge a little bit, you fudge it over towards the bass side, because people fret with their thumbs, and so they like to have it's better to have a consistent edge going down the bass side and have the trebles come in just a little bit. Most people will pull the string down and they can fret with their thumb and that sort of thing. So, especially as they go up the neck, most people will tend to pull the string off of the fingerboard. Not very many people go off on the low end. So, that looked to me like it was just a tiny bit close on the treble E, and I pushed it, moved the bridge over just a little bitty bit to give it just a hair more room down there on the high E. And you know, you can always measure and everything like that, but I've done this 1,000 million times by now, and I've got a pretty good eye for it. And again, I'm going to do an equi shot, so that's really when I'm going to do my final adjustment. I can spend an awful lot of time getting this all right and everything, and then blow it on the neck reset. And it happens because, you know, you pull the neck off, and the finish is rough underneath or something, and you still have to get that neck on there square. When you move from 2 1/8 to 2 1/4 of an inch bridge spacing, it has to be perfect, or it's not going to work. Okay, now I've got that my bridge where I want it. I'm going to get this tiny little drill bit here, and I think it's 45 thousandths of an inch. Let me see, 46. The reason it's 46 is because I use a string. I'll show you. So, get my drill bit, get my drill, fire it up. You see that? I should get a sponsorship. And I'm going to drill a hole through the bridge slot, straight through the bridge plate. And this is going to be my locator pin. Right through my bridge plate. Those used to drive me crazy until I started having to use them. And as soon as I put the glue in there and that sort of thing, it's going to go through the holes, and it'll fill in the holes that are in there. It won't cause any trouble. And so now what I can do, when it comes time to place the bridge for gluing, I have some little pieces of A-string, 45 thousandths of an inch. Get out of there. And they'll go in here in these holes and allow me to locate these pins for this bridge exactly where it was before. And you'll see that when we get to that point. I guess we're about ready to glue it on. There we go. I get a little glue buildup on them sometimes, and you got to keep them down to 45 thousandths of an inch. If they get some glue buildup, you get a piece of sandpaper and just kind of sand it down a little bit. Or you go cut a new piece of string, whatever. There we go. Okay, that's how it fits. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to score on the back side of the bridge. I'll go ahead and score real lightly around here, just to see if there is any finish I need to take off. Shouldn't be. Do the same on the front, except I'm going to use a razor knife, that little X-Acto knife, and I'm going to score along the front edge of the bridge. Like that. One more time. I want that finish off of there, you know. There's no use gluing it down on finish. Take my clamp off. Take that, set that aside, pull these out. Take a look and see what I got here. And I got just a little tiny little bit of finish right here that I need to take off. That's nothing. So I minimized it. Chisel, flat chisel. You just come in, scrape that off. It's not even enough. It's not even enough to worry about. It's over here though, and over here I got to take it off because remember the bridge was on crooked. So I got to take just a little bit off right here. I like this chisel because it's got this sort of bevel on it, and so I use it to dig in like this and break the finish, and then I come across it almost flat like this and scrape that finish off. You can also flip it over and use it this way and do a pretty good job, but this particular chisel, you can see I've sanded down the base of it so that I can come in with it almost flat. Get my finger to here, I can come a very flat approach and take that off. Okay, now what I got on my finish has got to come off too. I put some up here. Same thing, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to score it off. Like that. That's my finish, I can do whatever I want with it, right? Okay. Scrape that off. I use these like pull scrapers a lot too. Put it on there. Okay, looks good. Got a little sanding block here. I'm going to come up here and just run it along the front edge of that. Cross grain again. Woo! Put my finger up here where I wanted it so I could rub it against my finger and use my finger as a guide. good. Pretty clean. Got a lot of old glue off of there. You can use a damp rag like this. Reason for that is to sort of prime the wood a little bit. That's kind of a throwback. It's kind of a throwback to when you used hot hide glue more. And about hot hide glue on this. This surface is a little bit beat up, and I could use hot hide glue, but I don't trust it as much as I do the LMI glue. This is a much more aggressive glue. I'm dealing with a contaminated surface here. I've got it pretty clean, but it's still got some contamination in it. And real hot hide glue just does not do really good with this. I've had maybe 4 bridge failures in my entire 20-year career, and they were all hot hide glue. I've had 0 with LMI. So I trust it. Okay? Now, I guess we're ready to glue it on. If you want to watch all that, if I can find the bridge, whatever I did with the bridge where I took it off. Here it is. Looks good. Ready to go. Now, I like to work with it this way for some reason, you know. Some things I like to work one direction, and some things I like to work the other direction. When I put the clamps on, I like to come in this way with my right hand, I guess. I don't know. So I'm going to get me a couple clamps. 3 clamps. I'll use 5, but I'm going to start with 3. Still got my little markers in here. LMI. Smear it on. Doesn't take an awful lot of glue. That's probably too much. I'm going to smear it off here as I go. So, rub it on. I do want to see some squeeze out though. Okay? About it. Coated pin in. On the pinhole. Right there. Here's the other one. Sometimes you gotta hunt for it. There it is. Because remember I sanded the top, and so they fill the hole back up. And that looks good. Before I do anything else, I'm going to double check it one more time. And we've got 11 1/8 of an inch right there. 11 1/8 of an inch. Right there. Check it here. Fret. Perfect. Looks good. Bingo. Yeah? Now I feel confident I can glue it down. Clamp it down. Cap the glue. The clamp. I take one big deal. Again, these have Teflon on the back. And the first thing I do is clamp the middle of it. That'll keep it from moving around. Claws want to rotate, so you got to reach over here and hold them with your finger. Okay. Down. You just have the plastic caul that I can hook it onto the X-brush. Find it by feel. I can put a mirror in there. And over here I like to use a padded cork one. Catch the edge of the bridge. Some people like to use just one clamp and they use the Fox tool. I just like to use clamps. Plus it's one less tool I have to have in the shop. That down. Got a little bit of glue squeeze out, which I want to see. Now, this clamp is leaning a little bit, so I don't think I got it on the brace real good, and I'm going to check. Yeah, it's falling off that way. I want it on the brace. I'm going to reset it just a little. There it is. It's still falling. It's on the scallop, and the scallop is really super deep on these, and so you got to get them. You got to get it just right. It still wants to fall off of that scallop. So I have to go in. It might have to go off entirely. Let's see if this will catch it. There we go. That looks good. Now it's nice and straight. Check this one. That's pretty good. And then why is this one go down just a little? Yeah, it's not quite on. I got to redo this one. This one needs a little bit more length. Oh, there we go. I didn't pay attention. That arm's got to come up. It was resting on the brace and not the bridge plate. That feels better. I feel that one. Okay, like that. Now I'm going to get my locator pins out of there before they glue them in. Okay, last one I want to do is the corner of the bridge right here. This is where bridges commonly come off, is right there on the corner. So I like to clamp that directly. With one more clamp right there on the corner, and I always see glue squeeze out when I do this, so that's why I just like to come in here and get a clamp on it. Okay, one more. Corner, tighten it down, pull all those in. I don't know why I like to do that, but I just do. Makes it neat. Get a little dampness. And at this point, I turn the guitar around. Get a spatula and use it to push this damp paper towel around like this. Push it up against the corners and get the glue off. Just a little squeeze out, not bad. Right there in the corner. Spatula. Push it. Okay. Up front. Squeeze out. As you wipe the glue away, you've got to come back and do it again because you move glue out of the way and then